Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bricks and Dragons. Today, we are covering the Dagger class Starfighter. The Dagger class Starfighter had a triple wing design, as you can see very well here. The wings were pointed and knife-like in appearance during the flight. The whole craft would rotate around the cockpit. So, in other words, you have a stabilized cockpit, much like you would have in a B wing. So one of the earlier designs on that one. Um, the Dagger was armed with three laser cannons, which were located on the hull next to where the wings connected. As you can see right in here, um, actually here, kind of jutting out here, we have one, we have two, and on the other side would be three. I'm kind of pointing with my finger, and then I'm using the mouse as well. So they were right there, so they wouldn't hit the wing. Um, let's see. The fighter was a small, fast, maneuverable. Was small, fast, and maneuverable. Had powerful weaponry and was relatively cheap and easy to obtain. However, it lacked a life support system. This dramatically increased the risk of the pilot suffering from the effects of extreme G forces when quickly accelerating or turning. As such, the pilot had to rely on his own life or on his own skills, uh, and in no small part of quality of spacesuit in order to survive a battle. For history-wise, the fighters were produced by the thousands over the decades prior to the Clone Wars. The majority were purchased by planetary defense forces, while many others seemingly found their way into the hands of mercenary organizations. Daggers were also used as an assault in the assault or on Naboo, freighter colony above Naboo. In 32 BBY, Rise Dalos and Vana Sage were forced to contend with these craft during their attempts to protect Naboo. The Trade Federation had recruited a mercenary organization whose jobs involved such things as attempted kidnapping of Queen Amidala. Daggers made up the first three waves of the mercenary assault force during the kidnapping attempt. With the advent of the Clone Wars, numerous daggers were also found on the planetary fleets of separatist worlds. The production of the dagger stopped with the rise of the Galactic Empire and Palpatine's disdain or disbanding of the Republic Sinar. Um, the successor company of Sinar Fleet Systems borrowed a number of elements from the dagger in their initial designs of the TIE series. The design was later used as a basis of the V-38 assault fighter and the TIE PH Phantom, which is where this kind of reminds me of. The Dagger series first appeared in the 2001 video game Star Wars Starfighter. Daggers also appeared in the game's 2002 sequel, Star Wars Jedi Starfighter. In this game, they only appeared in the bonus missions. So that's what we have for the Dagger. Note-wise, as far as the Westing game system has it, so this is a general ship available to the public here. It is from the Old Republic era. It is considered an escort starfighter, um, and we are at about 12.1 meters long. Relatively, I want to say close to what a X-wing would be. Has a crew of one. Um, can carry about 55 kilograms, so roughly about 110, 120 pounds. Um, we have 1 week of consumables. This is a very cheap starfighter at 32,000 credits. Has a hyperdrive of times two. So uh, most craft that we will find when we go through this series are going to be relatively a times one hyperdrive. Um, and when we look at Star Wars, hyperdrive systems have been used for a very long time, so it's a very common thing. Um, So in that regards, uh, times one is a very standard. They have something times two, but it is an older system. Yeah, okay. I can see that. Nav computer, it can be programmed with 5 jumps. So you do have to kind of keep that in mind. You may have to stop, trying to reprogram it and everything else. It doesn't have a droid or anything in there. Maneuverability is a 2D, so that's pretty respectable. Space of 7, so it is a little slower than some of the fighters that we've seen, but it is pretty on par. You start getting, I think 8 is pretty much a good standard for our starfighters. 7 a little slower. Um, you start getting a little slower than that, and you're starting to go about as fast as a lot of your stock light freighters and all that stuff. Hull of a 2D, so right there, it's on par with our TIE fighters. Being a relatively inexpensive ship with a hyperdrive, that's not bad though. Our sensors. So we do actually have a 1D to help for our passive at 1.5 kilometers out. Our scan, we have a 2D here for 3.5 kilometers. Our search, really, these scanning systems, our sensor system package on this is pretty respectable. Our search is 6.5 kilometers out at a 2D plus 2. That's pretty nice. Our focus being a 3, so that's 300 meters out at a 3D plus 2. So if you're really trying to focus in on something, it's not that bad. Okay, so we have the 3 laser cannons. They're fire linked, all obviously facing forward. Being an older fighter, the fire control being a 1D plus 1, which is not the greatest, but it's not the worst. And we can go out to 1 to 300 meters, 1.2 kilometers out, and then 2.5 kilometers out for our range. Um, and it does 60 damage. So that's pretty respectable, especially for a ship of its age. Um, I think any unit that was to get these, or any pilot that's in this, you might want to make some changes to this, a little here and a little there. It doesn't have a shield system, so if you could maybe upgrade the shield system um, with a good maneuverability of 2D and a good pilot in there, you could do pretty good. The big drawbacks come down to, like they were saying, um, you have no life support. So whatever you have, whatever's on you, I mean, if you're in a ship, and if we're seeing consumables for 1 week, um, that's going to be a very uncomfortable 1 week because you're really relying on nothing but your spacesuit. So if you have a spacesuit that's not up to par, that 1 week could really get knocked down. I mean, you're really talking about food supplies and stuff like that, but there again, you have to eat it through your spacesuit. It's not like you're going to take your spacesuit off. So, um, another nice starting ship. Um, Maybe it's something that you throw out as an option um, for characters if you're running this. I could easily see that, and it's not a bad ship, especially the fact that this came out early on, story wise or whatever. I mean, we're talking about, what did they say, 32 BBY. Um, so if you're doing a Clone Wars series, very yeah, 32 BBY. Um, Very possible for a really decent ship for that time frame. Very inexpensive for characters to run around. Good for cannon fodder if you're sitting there saying, hey, you're going to have mercenaries using it, because, as it said, a lot of mercenary units had picked this up because it is relatively cheap. Um, Probably a low maintenance because you don't have to worry about all the uh, climate control and all that stuff inside the cockpit or whatever, because you're really relying on that spacesuit. So you don't have to worry about any of those. So, but here we are with the Dagger. This is what we have in today's ship of the day. Um, we might kind of jump around here because we've been doing a lot of the general alignment starfighters. We might start jumping around here a little bit, and then we'll get everything in here. But with that being that, uh, thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video.